That's fine, okay. We shall start. Where?
Thank you, Honorable Chair. Let us pray. Almighty God, who in your infinite wisdom and providential goodness has appointed the officers of leaders and parliaments for the welfare of society and the just government of humanity, we beseech you to look upon with your abundant favor these your servants, whom you have been pleased to call to the performance of such important trusts in this land. Let your blessing descend upon them here assembled, and grant that they may, as in your presence, treat and consider all matters that shall come under their deliberation in so just and faithful a manner as to promote your honor and glory, and to advance the good of those whose interests you have committed to their charge. Amen.
Thank you, Clerk. Let me have a quick introduction to my side, starting from there.
Good morning, Chair and members. My name is Roland Mwesigwa from Office of the Auditor General.
Good morning, Chair and members. My name is Samuel Mugisha from the Office of Auditor General.
Welcome, Samuel.
Thank you, Chair. Good morning, honorable members. My name is Jean Kabibi. I'm a technical assistant attached to the committee.
Thank you, Jean.
Thank you, Honorable Chair. I'm Detective Sergeant Mr. Zanasan, CID Officer attached to the committee.
Thank you, Honorable Chair. Ladies and gentlemen, my name is Alex Onanyang, Assistant to the Deputy Chairperson. Thank you.
Thank you, Chair. I'm Detective Assistant Inspector of Police, Oloch Michael, CID Officer attached to the committee.
Thank you, Honorable Chair. My name is Gilbert Ainomjesha. I'm the clerk to the committee.
Thank you. Accounting Officer. The rest I will introduce.
Good morning, Chair and members. Thank you very much.
Are you comfortable with this or this one? Or both of them are yours?
It looks like.
Yeah, but one will be permanently yours.
Okay, then I'll have this one. I can give that one to you. Sorry? No, this is fine.
Okay. No, we don't want you to have a back.
Okay, I'll pull everything in.
Even in this.
This is the trouble with coming to park. They overfeed you and then they roast you after that. Thank you very much, Chair. Major General Apollo Kasitago, the Director of Citizenship and Immigration Control. Thank you.
I'm Stephen Bwire, Principal Accountant, Directorate of Citizenship and Immigration Control.
You forgot to vote me.
Morning. Morning, Chair, and morning, members. I'm Okano Geoffrey Kambere, Commissioner, Immigration Control.
Morning, Chair and members. My name is Perpetua Biraro, Senior Internal Auditor at DCIC.
Did you vote?
Yes, I did, Chair.
Morning, Chair. My name is Brigadier Johnson Namanya, Commissioner Passports and Citizenship Control.
Good morning, Chairperson. My name is Dennis Okelo. I'm a senior statistician and I do the planning for the Directorate.
Good morning, Chair. Proscovia Vavilia, Assistant Commissioner, Human Resource, Ministry of Internal Affairs.
Morning, Chair and members. I'm God Murari Moses. I'm an Assistant Commissioner for Immigration Control.
That is your boss, behind the other one. No, the one where you report.
Morning, Chair and members. I'm called Jacob Siminyu, Senior Immigration Officer and Spokesperson for the Ministry of Internal Affairs. Chair, one or two other members may come a little bit later on.
Okay.
Thank you, sir.
I have members of the public and the Fourth Estate that are part of us. My name is Nandala Mafabi, Chairman Park, and I want to say you're most welcome. Maybe you need to know the rules. Under classified expenditure, Chairman Park is quorum. Are you getting it? Under classified expenditure, Chairman Park is what? Quorum. Now if classified is quorum, even this one is what? Quorum. so don't get worried. So having said that, so again, we want to most welcome you for first of all, keep time. And this food is yours. And our culture, you after eating, starting on it, then we shall also eat. And because you are guests. Again, we want to reinstate our earlier position, which we have been telling you that this committee is not fault finding. We want to ensure that we work together to ensure that what you are supposed to do is really done. All challenges you get, we request you to tell us. And I want to tell you that be free so that we are able to resolve our matters of 2018, 2019 before 1 o'clock. But if you try to dodge and go, decisions take longer, and eventually we may need you more times. But we want to make sure we sort out our problems today. Where you have an issue, you tell us. So on that note, I want to invite you to tell us how immigration is handling COVID-19. Do you have a write-up?
No, I didn't know that was part of the agenda.
Now, Mr. Wheeler is saying you shall provide. Even our letter was very clear, but it's okay. Let us take it like that.
I sincerely apologize. I wasn't aware that that was part of the agenda. But I can give a brief account of what we have done so far since March, when the COVID pandemic broke out. Thank you again, Mr. Chairman, for this opportunity to appear before PAC. And you've already met the members of the DCIC who are here with me. And I would like to say that the last time we met, virtually 1 year ago, we were only a few days or a month or so, I think, in office. Today we can boast and say we are 1 year in office and still going strong. I'd like to assure you that things have improved since then. Although for this particular financial year that we are going to be accounting for, again, we were not in office, but I think we've taken cognizance of what transpired during that time, and we shall make good of the responses that will be given to the PAC. So I thank you for this opportunity, Mr. Chairman. COVID pandemic broke out in March, at least for Uganda. That's when we started feeling it. I and a few of my colleagues had also traveled out of the country, so by the time we came back, I think I got back around the 20th of March, and I had to go into the 14 days mandatory quarantine, which was at home. So we all adhered to the specs that were provided for by government, or the guidance specified by government. But in the meantime, the team had already set themselves up and were prepared for the pandemic. So what happened? We immediately closed, as government directed, the borders were closed, including the international airport, and only allowed in cargo planes and cargo trucks to pass through the country. And this basically opened us up to, it looked like it opened us up also now to the transmission of the disease, because the majority of the cases, as we know today, came from outside, and mainly from the truck drivers. So the international airport was closed as of March, towards the end of March, and all the borders, apart from for the truck drivers. We established an interagency monitoring team to monitor the borders, and that was composed of basically UPDF, of course, the immigration ourselves, police, and the intelligence services to help us monitor the borders. This was a blessing in that we were able to do more monitoring than we had ever done before as an immigration force. In our analysis, we found, much as we have only 52 gazetted entry points at our borders, we eventually came to find that we have more than 336 porous points at which people could cross into the country. As you realize, this presents a much bigger problem than we had anticipated. The workforce of DCIC alone is not enough to contain the monitoring of the borders, but even then, with the addition of police and UPDF, it is still not a sizable force. So even as of now, we're looking at integrating this with technology to help us to monitor the borders. Operations have been going on well so far. Health deployed along with us. Health had their challenges, of course, at the major entry points. Much as they had their staff there, they did not have enough PPEs. The isolation centers were few also. And I think we had not fully appreciated the magnitude of the problem. But over time, we managed to get our act together, and all the services were able to deploy at the borders. More especially with health, they managed to put the testing facilities at many of the entry points. These helped us to take the samples from especially the truck drivers who were coming in, and also those who are coming, the cargo planes, UN and cargo planes, which are coming in at the international airport. Samples were taken, initially had to be brought all the way to Kampala and Entebbe for testing, and results were taken back. Challenge there was that this takes time. Initially, we were working on a 24-hour basis for turnaround time, but as the cases became more and more, the challenges became even more magnified, and the turnaround time sometimes would take about 4 or 5 days. And I think over time we all saw the build-up of traffic, especially along Malaba and Busia crossing points, and also at Elegu. Much as Uganda was doing a lot of testing, unfortunately, and a lot of controls within the country, our sister countries, unfortunately, were not playing to the same tune. So we were testing, Kenya was not testing, Tanzania also was not testing, DRC was also not testing. In fact, mainly Tanzania and DRC, it was as if everything was still as normal. And that presented a bit of a problem, because that meant that we were using more resources than our sister countries. And this presented a bit of a problem for the health centers to be able to manage all the traffic that was coming in, because the positive cases were becoming more and more day by day. And for us to be able to manage that, we needed more resources. So health was a little bit swamped in terms of having enough resources to manage all of that. We being part of the frontline forces, because we had inevitably to interact with the truck drivers and their crews, and the pilots also coming in from Entebbe, we became victims, or potential victims for the spread of COVID, as in terms of being contacts for the persons coming through, the drivers and the crew. And to date, I think we have, 4 cases? We have 4 cases of our personnel who became positive, because what we agreed that periodically we would have to test our people, especially those manning the borders. We'd have to test our people to make sure that they were okay. We made it a point to make sure that they had what was required to help protect them. That is, first following all the guidelines specified by government, washing your hands, sanitizing, wearing your masks, exercising social distance, and to a great extent, our people were following that. But COVID being what it was, there would always be, there was always that chance that somebody along the way could fall sick. So we had 4 cases. They have been managed well. The cases mainly were from Elegu and from Mutukura. Malaba, we have not had an issue that side. Busia, we have not had an issue. But those were the 2 areas. But at the same time, we've been emphasizing to our people that they must be compliant with the guidelines specified by government, so that they are protected, not only for themselves, but also for the country in general. Because the spread would start from the person to the community, and at the end of the day, you've got the whole population is being affected. So generally, working with the interagency teams also, because the other sector that was set up, other than the national task force, you have the interagency task force headquartered in Nakuru. So we've been working with them to see how we can mitigate or control the movement of the truck drivers, especially into the country, coming in from the various border posts. And they set up various isolation points along the way, which we were managing together along with them, helping to clear the trucks, helping, checking on to where they were stopping, so that we'd have our immigration officers there as well to confirm that they actually satisfied all the requirements of immigration to come through the borders and to proceed to wherever they were going. So all that activity has been going on. At the headquarters, we've been maintaining small staff, 20% actually, about between 20 to 30% of our staff, but we stopped all the other services. We virtually ceased operating, other than managing the borders. So that was our concentration at that time. Now, as of now, we maintained a situation room, an operational office where we would be able to continue monitoring the activities at the borders and making sure that we're giving them the resources that they needed. At points, we had to increase staffing at the borders because we realized there was much more traffic coming through than we had anticipated would be coming through at that time. So for those, especially the headquarters staff that had gone on leave, that we had sort of mandatory leave, we asked them to help us to revamp the staff, mainly at the borders, at the crossing points, especially the busy ones, Elegu, Busia Malaba, and Mutukula, and the DRC borders, especially at Mpondwe and further up Vura side. So that has been going on. So I was saying the headquarters, we maintained a small staff, seized all services, because we did not want people coming in and also contributing to the spread of the pandemic. We issued a press statement to the effect that visas for those whose visas expired within the COVID period, they would be exempt, would not fine anybody, in order to not have people move up and down. So work permits, we're not renewing. Visa applications, we're not taking those in. Of course, we're not expecting anybody to come in, but if you had your visa expired in here, stay home until such time as you are ready to open, and then you would come and, but you would not be fined for the period that your visa expired within the country. Work permits, same thing. A number of people there, work permits expired, but we also advised everybody, stay where you are. When things get better and movement is allowed, then would allow for people to come in and renew their facilities. So this is what is happening now. We've made sure that at the headquarters and at all our regional offices, these facilities are in place so that when people come in, they feel they themselves, and we protect ourselves and protect also the clients coming in, washing their hands. We've made the facilities available for that, sanitization. We insist on people coming in with their masks, and we're taking in few people. You only come on appointment, so we can schedule your visit. So you know by the time you're coming to any of our offices, you have a reason to go there, and not just to confirm or check whatever what facilities are available for you. Passports, for those that have been made, because what we're doing now is allowing for those whose passports had already been made to come and collect them. But again, schedule your visit so that you can come on a particular day or a particular time and collect your passport and go away. Enrollment, that is also going on, but at a very small scale right now. Again, because we embraced technology, all these things are done online, so people make their passport applications online, schedule your visit, come, and your biometrics are taken, passport is printed, and now at least we're making sure within 2 days one can get their passport, but movement is limited. Again, also for the other services, visas is still minimal, but work permits, we are seeing a lot of people coming in wanting to renew their work permits. Those were also scheduled visits. On scheduled visits, they do come and renew their work permits. And as of now, we've also allowed for the board to continue their activities, so they look into the citizenship issues, the certificates of residence and things like that. So the board is also active. As I think the last time we came here, we didn't have a board yet, but now we have an active board, and under the chairmanship of Madame Miriam Amoit, and it's doing well so far. So they are also conducting activities, albeit at a very small scale. So generally, operations have started at the headquarters to that effect. Press statement has yet to be released because as of now, we're doing it small scale and telling people to schedule their visits. But a press statement, I think, will come out much clearer to inform people exactly what is available for them, what they can do at the headquarters and at our regional offices. So in a nutshell, I think this is what I can say about our operations in this COVID period, Mr. Chairman. I don't know if any of my members want to add in anything.
Thank you very much, Accounting Officer. I've been joined with another colleague. Let him introduce himself so that we can proceed.
Yeah, good morning, Chair and the friends. I'm Yagma Wilberforce, MP Kashal North, and I'm a member of this committee.
Welcome, Yagma. So, Accounting Officer, we have to now go to item number 5. Water General Report of 2018-2019. We'll try our level best to run through as quick as possible so that we see it. So we'll start with the budget implementation. What were you given? How did you implement? What were... I'm waiting for you, sir. No, I'm saying your budget implementation.
Yes, sir.
That's where we are. How did you get? What did you get? What did you implement? What were the activities?
Yes, sir. On page 13, a statement of appropriation account based on nature of expenditure. So as you will notice, the initial approved for by 30th June 2019 is 185 billion 737. Oh, sorry, 47 billion, 47.766 billion. Revised and approved budget for 2019, sir, was 107.979 billion. The warrants issued 106.546 billion. The actual was 101.299 billion, and that is the variance, Mr. Chairman, sir.
Expenditure.
Mr. Chairman, expenditures, by nature of expenditures, I don't know whether you want to give me the
You can go total and receive.
the full sum.
And go sum.
The whole sum. The total actual expenditure 101, 297, 318, 0447.
Balance.
So the variance is 5 billion, Mr. Chairman.
What happened? You see, what we wanted to do here, there are two issues. We want to raise 4 issues on this. One, you had a budget of 47.7. It is changed to 107.9, almost 3 times. Almost. It's 2.5 times. Why? What happened that you would change a budget from 47.7 billion to 106 billion? That's number one. Number two, even what we gave you, the 10.5 billion, you spent 101.299 billion. Why didn't you spend a 5.249 billion? 3, there was a balance of 1,779,101. Where did you keep this? Okay? And altogether, the moment you deal with this, we'll be looking how you implemented the budget.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman. And I beg your indulgence, Mr. Chairman. I've got my technical officers here who can also guide us through this, if you don't mind.
Those are yours. You can use them as you want.
As I want. However, even as they do that, I would just like to point out that in that particular year, I think the directorate had 3 accounting officers. There was a lot of turmoil also around that time, so which led to the unabsorption of that 5 billion, as you...
Or 3 accounting officers.
Was it 3? About 3, yes.
Yeah.
So, but let me ask my...
you have made your case. That's why you came, you were aware you came in last year?
Yes, sir.
That's why we're waiting for your period.
Yes, sir.
We're waiting for it for sure. But since you are supposed to take the responsibilities of the other, go ahead.
Yes.
So
thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Officers,
let me have my principal accountant give that final explanation.
Go ahead, principal accountant. You never voted in me.
Thank you, Chair. Just like the director said, in that year, we had constant changes within the financial year, and that delayed the implementation of some of the planned activities, and that's what led to this under-absorption. Yes.
Accounting officers, where you have a lot of indecision, nobody wants to get their hands burnt at that time, so it presented a problem.
You say what happened. You say people had been interdicted.
Exactly, but you know, which is very true.
No, we understand. But you must put it on record.
Agreed. There were interdictions, people were interdicted, and there was a lot of, for lack of a better word, let me say insecurity among the accounting officers at that time to take decisive action on what was to be done.
Okay. That one we shall take it on first. So what you do, you will tell us, this one we're allowing you, tell us what was affected. Later you will put it as a result of this. Okay, that's okay. Number 1, you have answered 1. Now we got the next one. You moved from 47.7 to 107.
Chair, the movement from 47 to 107 was as a result of a supplementary funding that we received of 60 billion for implementation of the e-passport project and deployment of immigration attaches to 6 missions abroad.
So there was a poor budgeting at the beginning.
This project was not anticipated when we were budgeting, but due to international demands of implementation of e-passports all over the world, it necessitated this requirement.
That's okay. Yeah. That one pass. So at the end of the financial year, had you performed?
Yeah, we consider we performed in that though we didn't perform our plan level 170.
So you performed, but not fully. Because why we're raising this, you have letters of credit. I hope you're aware that you know 60 billion. So how do you say you have performed with letters of credit? Means you have not performed?
So the letters of credit were protecting us against paying, making advance payments to suppliers before they deliver the goods. So it was an understanding that we open a letter of credit which guarantees the supplier of his payment, but also protects our funds from going to a supplier before he has delivered the goods. So under that understanding, the supplier supplied the passports, we implemented, though they cashed their money after the year.
You have agreed. You have opened a letter of credit. In short, instead of having cash on your account, they don't trust you, you don't trust them.
Yes.
So you get an intermediary, which is a bank.
Yeah.
You open a letter of credit.
But maybe, Chairman, we need to know what type of letters of credit. Irrevocable, revocable. Because that trust depends on the type of letters of credit you open.
They are irrevocable.
Irrevocable. That means if the other one performs, you have to pay.
Yes. That's the thing. There would be no fear.
No, there was no fear. That's what the argument is okay. They put a good argument that we had to protect our money, which was good. But now the issue is that by the end of the financial year, the letters of credit are not performed. I hope you're getting it. What we're saying is, no, if I've not paid you, it has not performed. You have the money is hanging. So even that's why we have an issue. We want to ask Water General, if you have a budget of 107 billion, are you hearing Water General? And you have letters of credit of 60 billion, and you say they have performed 90, whatever. That's what we want to find out. It means more than half has not performed. It's just still there. I don't know if you are seeing it. I've seen one of my voters that smiled. No, you have understood. Accounting officer was saying, yes, you got the money. You are holding it somewhere. But you have not expended because you are depending on performance. So we are saying now, what did you give our Water General to say you performed 90-something%? Yet money, does it mean shifting money from one account to another account? Mean performance? That's where we are. What did you give our auditor?
Chair, this is not just shifting. Just like you explained that this is an irrevocable letter of credit, which was waiting for them to present the documents to the bank and then they get paid. Now for us,
I agree, Mr. Wille, we are together. You see, this letter of credit, if it had gone reducing, it is little money. That one, what has been spent is performance. It's a certificate. Now the certificate is where you're looking for. That's where we are. I hope you are getting what we're saying.
Yeah.
Chair, I'd like to presume that Auditor General was also mindful that we are being protective of government finances.
That's okay. Accounting officer, I think you're not getting.
No, I've got you. I think I've got you.
The money is it is instead of keeping it in Bank of Uganda,
yes,
you shifted it to pending performance of an activity. Now we're saying, how does our staff, that is our staff, come and they say you performed 99%, yet money is hanging, not paid, no services. Because shifting, does it mean performance? It was still in your pocket. You shifted from the left to the right.
In anticipation.
In anticipation. So it means we would not go to the service or the goods. And so that means that man has not what? Performed as much as we're keeping it. I don't know if Mr. Wira you're getting it.
I'm getting you so well, Chair. But it's not entirely true that no performance had been done at
that's why you are going to say. So we're going to leave you of the 60 billion. It was 53 plus 7. Of course, you know where it is. It is here in your book. We're now trying, because you said what, how much of it in your mind, how much of it had performed by the close of that financial year. Are you getting it? What it means, you may not have paid, but some activity has what? Been done. Now that one is the only one which will become at mitigation. As currently you are, for us our money was hanging, there was no e-passport, there was not, the system was not there, but the money has been kept somewhere waiting for delivery. So now you're what?
It's not that there was no passport, the passports were being implemented. Now, the supplier delivered the passports. But now, under the LC, after you have delivered, you have to assemble the documents which you submit to your bank. And then your bank presents the documents to Bank of Uganda for payment. Now, that process is what had not been completed. But they had, by the end of, we started implementing these passports in December 2018. So they delivered some passports in December 2018.
That's what we're looking for. There's nobody in this world who can deliver and wait for 6 months before it's paid. Nobody. Because he has also borrowed money, it has interest being what? Accumulated. So what it means is, as soon as he does it, he invoices, money paid. So what we want you to do, we give the letter of credit was, maybe let us do like this. The letter of credit was open on this date.
Yes.
Are you getting it? When it was open, the performance began at this.
Yeah.
By the close of the year, this is the performance. Now, after that then you know of balance items. After the close of the year, as we speak by 2019, 2020, this is the what? The position. Are we together? Then that one we shall see whether you delayed the process. We want to find out, having given you money, who delayed the what? That's what we're looking for. Are we clear there? And that one also goes on the 7 billion letter of credit, because we want to run quickly. I think you are aware of, if you check PEG, the letters of credit on PEG, avoid a member raising it again, so that we go once. The 7 billion on...
60 billion.
Yeah, the 60, but there was 7 the previous year. So what was the one of the previous of 7 billion? And why it took a year? And what is this performance? Are you seeing the 7 billion? Yeah. You check the cash flow. Yeah. So because we want to sort that once and what? And for all. So that's the 7. Yeah? This is the 7. If you add this, then it comes page 10, and you page 10. Page 10. The cash flow you've seen, then when you add it, you guys go to 50 by this, comes 60. Note 22, you have seen it? That's where you are. Have you seen note 22? You have seen it, eh? Note 20, note 22. Receivables, eh?
not 22, not 21.
21 receivables. So you have seen it moved from 7. I saying on page 24. Accounting office, I saying. You see note 21. It's on page 24 up there. It moved from 7 billion. It went the following year to 60. But to understand this 60, you go to page, which one, where the cash for it? Page 10. No, page 10. Page 10. You have page 10. You see the 7 is there, then the 53. If you get the 53, 7 was 2018, 53 was 2019. So when you add, you get the 60 billion we're talking about. Are you together? So we want the analysis and how it is done. Is that okay, colleagues? Yes. Okay. So accounting officer, we are now remaining with only one item on that. The 1 million.
Mr. Chairman, would this be like advances, the advanced money?
The letter of credit.
Receivables. No, letter of credit, I understand.
Yeah, there's also receivables.
Yeah,
of 2 point.
Yes. Well, did you advance the money?
Yes. Yes, but put on micro.
How was this secured?
We got an advance payment guarantee. This was a contractor who was doing the digitalization of our records. So this was an advance payment on which he presented an advance payment guarantee and we paid it.
Yeah. So what you do, you attach that one?
Yes.
You attach that one.
Sure.
Okay. Yes. How good? Yeah.
But maybe, Chair, we can hear from Bwire, my friend.
Bwire?
Yes.
You knew him from where?
Is Mayo Mwongoza. Whether there was a permission secured for clearance to pay the advance.
This contract was well cleared.
That's why for us to be able to deal with that, we want the accounting officer to attach that advance. What was the agreement, because the Solicitor General cleared it, what was the guarantee for the advance payment?
The advance payment.
The moment we have that, you have a tick.
But again, that advance, Mr. Chairman, was that advance authorized?
That's what, the moment it
because there is a law, you look at financial regulations 2016.
Yeah, you look at the financial.
Yes.
Yeah, so now we note that
you are required to pay for the works completed. Short of that, I think the ministers to authorize. Was it authorized?
So you confirm that it is what? Authorized?
It was authorized.
We're noting all this.
And here the minister means the Minister of Finance, not your Minister of Internal Affairs.
Not J.J. Odong. So that's okay, we are running quickly. Now we want again to, I think we will need to conclude this, because when you deal this, you deal with areas, you finish, we'll go to another point. What a general note, you answer the 99% when we go to office. Now, accounting officer, we can see you adjusting for payables of 5.4 billion. Before we give you credit for adjusting, we need to understand, because who is this one? You know, payables means you had got a liability which you claim you should pay. No, we understand maybe as you came in as a new man, you said, no, let me look at this liability. How did it come? Before I pay, I need to get the evidence. Now you are saying, no, remove it from the books. Are you getting it? You say, no, this is not due. What was the genesis? How you got the problem and you removed the payable so that you could not pay?
Okay, Chair, this adjustment relates to an obligation we had with the Gemalto.
Gemalto?
Yes. That was for the implementation of the e-immigration system. E-immigration system. So we adjusted this because the transaction was covered by the LC. Yeah.
Okay. Yes, even if it's covered by LC, because LC will be up as a payable.
Yeah.
Down will be a liability.
Yeah.
Are you getting it?
Yes.
So we want you now, you're adjusting, you're saying no, remove it. So why remove it now when you have a liability?
We are removing it because the supplier had not yet performed fully to warrant it being a liability.
Oh.
Yeah.
The order accounting office had recognized it as a payable when it was. Is it true?
Erroneous.
Is it true? Okay. So he had recognized it.
Yes.
As a payable when it wasn't.
Yes.
You are sure?
Yeah.
Okay. So we're saying this was recognized as a payable when it wasn't. So, but can we look at your page 7 of your accounts? The last, second last paragraph.
Yes, sir.
The last, can you read only the last sentence of that paragraph?
The last sentence says at the end of the financial year 2018-2019.
Go, finish it. There was therefore.
And there was therefore no obligation to Gemalto.
So you haven't put no, that's why we're asking. There's no here. There was therefore to obligations. So that's why so you have corrected that.
Yes, sir.
So that's why we're looking for you. Okay. So we put a no here. Okay, good. So I want to congratulate you. Thank you very much for doing that. Otherwise, we could have made the new accounting officer could have paid it. Yet the LOC had paid it, was going to pay it, and whatever. Now, question: has it performed?
It has fully performed now.
So you give us evidence of this performance. Of Malato. Okay? Do you have anything on that? Or we move on? We'll move on. So accounting officer, we can move on to. So we've looked at your budget, what you got, how you implemented it, but you're remaining with 1.766. You haven't given us where is it?
That balance was not released by Minister of Finance.
Are you sure?
Yes.
But it is there in actual. Where it is there? Are you seeing it? Maybe you need the services of your internal auditor.
Maybe I didn't get you well, sir.
No, it is there. You look, actual column. Go up to the end. There's a balance of 1,000,000.
Okay.
779 101.
Okay, this was an uncleared payment on the system. It is an uncleared payment at the end of the financial year which remained hanging on the system, but was subsequently cleared in July.
Are you sure?
Yes.
What was that payment?
What was that payment?
What was that payment?
It was a withholding tax. It was a withholding tax.
Oh.
Do you have the proof?
Yes. You have the proof?
Yes.
Okay, attach the proof. Attach the proof. You are sure?
Yes, sir.
You are sure?
I'm very sure, sir.
Okay. What about the 13 million, which is understatement of payment?
Now, the difference between these two is that this one...
This is on page 34. Goods and... Page 34. You see, goods and... You're saying?
Yes.
Goods and services
consumed. In the second last column.
The 13.8.
Yes.
What is this?
Now, the difference between these two transactions is that this one of 1.7, the money had been, the funding had already been provided by Treasury, while the 13, the funding was provided in July.
That is for what?
Yes, this are withholding tax to URI.
This 13 is also withholding tax?
Yes.
You are sure?
Yes, I'm very sure.
Okay. So what you do, you see this one, if it was, because you paid somebody,
yes,
you deducted his money or her money,
yes,
but you will not have money to pay.
Yes.
We need you to confirm, and Aaron, take it up. We need to reconcile, because that will have a problem with us tomorrow. Okay. Move on. Then, so we have looked at your, maybe just a quick one, we have looked at your budget. Now we go to inputs, implementation, inputs and outputs. The Auditor General is saying there are issues. You have seen it. We have dealt with revenue performance, we have dealt with an absorption. Now we are on quantification of, non-quantification of outputs and activities. And that one will be dealt with 1.3, 1.4. Counting officer, we're in your territory. But first of all, have something.
No, I'm good.
Are you sure?
Chair, that Arabica from
Montenegrin is enough. But tell the other stuff. Please, these are your eats.
Yeah, I'm seeing the Kabalagala, which is something I've not had for a long time. So I would not, Chair, please.
No, but you're my guest.
I thank you for your hospitality, sir.
Chair, on the number 1.3, non-quantification of outputs, we concede it is true. The outputs for that financial year had not been quantified in our work plans. But we have since ensured that in subsequent years, these outputs are quantified to enable us to report accurately and be measured, our performance be measured also.
Yeah, but if we are not quantified, those you never quantified, where is our report on it that we never quantified them? We got 10 million shillings, was for 5 inspections, we did 4 or we did 6. Yeah? You see now what we want. Since you have not quantified, we have asked you now, we are now as a committee, can you quantify them? You see, quantification does not mean that you can say we planned to have 10 field trips on border points. We did 12 out of this money. It means you have overperformed by the budget you have got. Or we did 6. And the reason why we did 6 was because of X, Y, Z. And this money is maybe one of the things which is underabsorbed altogether. So we want you to, this does not answer the question. We leave it to you again. Can you go and quantify those outputs, inputs and outputs you never quantified for purposes of our report? So that one we shall leave 1.3 for you and 1.4. What again is that by? Is there anything you want to raise on it? Because that's your area. So if we get that response, we study it comparing it with what we believe. Accounting officer, you have understood?
Yes, sir.
Yeah. Okay. 1.5 diversion, you diverted our money. Where is the authority?
Mr. Chairman, as you noticed, the expenses were charged on related budget lines. Yeah, but however, we have taken note of the Auditor General's advice, which was to ensure that expenditure is charged on the appropriate expenditure accounts, and in future, we'll seek authority to reallocate resources. But I have the full explanation. I think the PA can give us that one.
Yeah. Give us evidence and the full explanation. Give it to us. Where is it? Where is it? Do you have it here? Is it attached?
Subsequent to come, Mr. Chairman.
Accounting officer, you are
Mr.
like
Chairman.
You are like it because of COVID. Okay.
Kitale is full, sir.
So what you do here, that evidence of what was affected, plus what you did, plus the authority. Okay? At the end of the meeting, we're going to tell you the dates when we need it. But maybe we can tell you now. We are going to give you 1 week because we know you're under capacity. 7 days, because these are your documents you have. And then, so is 1 week okay for you? Okay, so we expect this by the latest 10 o'clock on Friday. No, on Thursday by 5 p.m. Yes, no. Isn't it? 7 days. Yeah. 7 days ended. Yes. Those, Namanya, those are your stories. Those are. Let me ask you, do you close the board on Sunday? So even us, we're not going to close here. This board here. Okay. Arias.
Just to confirm, this, are we talking about physical appearance or you want the report?
You know the evidence. No. We're trying to sort many things by getting evidence. We link up with the auditors. You can see she is typing. Yeah, by the end of the day, we have at least a draft. By next week, we conclude. We want to go for primaries of lining up. When you are done.
But they do the areas without money. That's what it means. You incur domestic area. Now you have submitted to finance for payment. Has the finance provided the money now?
Finance has not provided sufficient funds, and this is where we request Parliament to help us. When you provide these areas to finance, the votes don't have any authority on budgeting for areas. And probably the committee could help us also with the Auditor General on this query. We always blamed for not providing for domestic areas, but the budgeting for domestic areas is done by Minister of Finance. The votes have no role in it at all. So we declare to them, and then they normally provide the sufficient funding.
But let us understand, if we go to page 34, let us go to page 34. Because, and this is now between all of us, you, us, and Auditor General, and Auditor General is us. We are having an area of 2.875 billion.
Yes.
And that's where an adjustment of 5.4 is. Is this area not covered under the letter of credit?
No, this is a different one. This is an obligation to Mulbawa for the equipment for registration for national IDs. this area was incurred during the time when the National ID project was still under the NCIC.
So this 2.8 is Murbai?
Yes.
What again is it? So that means they had a contract. So you can't vary a contract, which either you pay when they are performed. But are they performed?
They performed, but the money has not been there. That's why we haven't paid them.
You are sure they are performed?
Yes.
But with all this connection has not been paid, with all the connection we hear.
They still have issues, Mr. Chairman, because I'm a member of that board as well. They still have issues, but they have performed. Although I think because of lack of payment, they have sort of hit a snag right now, but they are performing.
Yeah, sure. Okay. They're saying they had performed, okay. But you see what I wanted to ask a question. This is a question I'm asking as a committee on behalf of all accounting officers. I give you a contract to build this room at 5 million. You give me certificate 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I have not paid you 4, I have not paid you 5. So I've already given you maybe 1 million, and the remaining certificate 4 and 5 is a total of 1 million or 2 million, okay? So that's then you give me certificate 6 in the next year. Do I pay 6 and I leave 4 and 5? No, this is a question we're asking ourselves. Do you pay the latest and leave the earliest?
I think under ideal circumstances, you wouldn't do that.
Exactly, you must pay the earlier one.
You should pay the earlier one.
No, you shouldn't, because it's the same contract where they have budgeted on the same line. When you get the money, you sort the first one. Now, do you need to budget for it separately? I'm just asking.
Yes, I get it.
So those are the things we're grappling with.
I hear you.
We're not going to crucify accounting officer for paying certificate 4 and 5 because the money was meant for certificate 6. What happened to 4 and 5, the earlier ones? I hope you're getting me.
Okay.
So we are trying to talk to, we need to sit with the Auditor General, Accountant General, and say our best, because that should really not cause queries.
And Mr. Chairman, out of that, the organization may suffer interest.
Exactly.
Yeah, we have had cases, and what happens, people connive. They don't pay me. After all, we are going to get this interest, and the interest is shared. But otherwise, in this case, I've been looking at this law, accounting officer, he broke the law. When you look at the Public Finance Management Act 2015, Section 21(2), say the vote shall not take any credit from any local company or body unless it has no unpaid domestic arrears. You had from date in the previous financial year. You had. And it has capacity to pay for the expenditure from the approved estimates as appropriated by Parliament for that financial year. You had no capacity as we per the money appropriated to you. You had the domestic arrears, you had the debts. So you broke this law. The law may be unfair, for me I'm not unfair. Until it is amended.
Yeah, just like
so
we have explained.
I can see, Mr. Chairman, we are taking things lightly. These are billions of money involved.
That they should not have done.
Billions of money involved.
2.8.
Yeah.
Yeah, just like we have explained, this debt has been there for some good time. It's not that it was created in the financial year under review. It is something which has been brought forward.
Yeah. But even then, you are still the same person. Even then. Now that part of it is even brought forward, it means it has been your practice. You are incurring this for which you don't have the capacity to pay, and it is against the law. these people who are making the law, they had that one in mind. So an accounting officer, you understand this. People, there are even people at the family level who are used, they don't mind about taking dates. Dates. But there are even government departments like yours, there is 4 billion, you don't mind.
But I think
that's why you put this law and they participated in making this law.
Agreed, Honourable Member. But I'd like to believe that at that time there was a necessity, first of all. One, you couldn't rub it off. It was a debt which had to be recognized. And I think because of the particular activity which had to be undertaken at that material time, it was a necessity that we had to incur that debt. But what I'm saying is you could not write it off, neither could you wash it away, but it had to be maintained, so that at least the government entities would recognize that there's this debt and it had to be paid.
Yes, you could, but the difference is even a billion here, the one you took in this financial year under audit.
You see, the issue is being raised that you have a debt unless this person has not performed. You can readily recognize. Now, why do you carry forward the debt of somebody who has performed? So what have you done? What are your plans for this debt? Isn't it incurring the interest as much as they have problems?
Our plan is we have been engaging with the Minister of Finance.
But have they performed to begin with?
We have been informed that they have performed.
Sir, I will. Accounting officer is trying to watch his weight.
But Kabaragala will reduce it better.
But since the chair has insisted.
They performed. They performed. That's the information that we have. Because, like you're aware, we all inherited this debt. We came in after this debt had been incurred, and we are just recognizing it so that when finance provides a funding, we clear it.
Okay, this one, since it's not, we shall wait for in 2019, 2020. Okay, we go on. The next item is land.
Mr. Chair, was a question asked? But we have a response.
At the end.
So we have DCIC occupies pieces of land along the borders. And some of the borders, unfortunately, I think there have been discrepancies, especially down on the South Sudan with the Uganda border and on the east as well, where the actual border line has not been wholly demarcated, properly demarcated, and there's been some controversy between the two countries. But however, the land along the border with South Sudan, this could not be surveyed due to the border disputes, which are still ongoing. Land at Sabagoro and Ntoroko, that has been surveyed, and I think we have the evidence to prove that.
This is the evidence of suspension of surveying the land along the Sudan border.
There was an issue about a dispute that was between us and UNHCR of land at Elegu. I had the opportunity to visit this particular piece of land, and I would like to confirm that there's actually no dispute of ownership between BCIC and UNHCR. What had happened, what I was made to understand, what had happened is that we had a sizable piece of land at Elegu, and there was a refugee problem at that material time, where we agreed that they could use part of our land to establish a refugee reception center at Elegu. But they have since left that piece of land, and it is wholly in the control of BCIC, Mr. Chair. The status of titling land at the borders is as follows. At Ntoroko, Mr. Chair, the land is a wetland, and NEMA gave DCIC occupancy upon it. Okay. At Afoji, this can't be titled because of the border disputes with Southern Sudan. At Oraba, in fact, Afoji, you'll find our immigrant. I don't know whether you've had opportunity to visit that place, Mr. Chairman, but our immigration post is, I am told, is about 5 or so kilometers inside of Uganda. But because of failure to demarcate where the boundary line is, we have not been able to push that one forward. So we are there. Oraba, this is land that belongs to URA. And this is an area where we're looking at establishing a one-stop border post. And as you know, with government, we pull the land together, we pull resources together so that we build one entity to house everybody. So that is the plan for Oraba. And Ngomoromo, land can't be titled, again, because of the land.
This is also Sudan.
Sorry, this is also Sudan, Oraba, yes.
No, Ngoromo.
Ngomoromo is South Sudan, yes, sir.
What about Africa, South Sudan?
Come again? Afoji is South Sudan, yes, sir. Ntoroko, this is Albertine region.
Ngoroko is where?
Ntoroko. Albertine?
Ngoromo?
Sorry? Ngomoromo is South Sudan, sir.
Okay, Oh, Sabagoro, huh? What is
Sabagoro, Ntoroko.
Sabagoro, we have given you the name of.
Yeah, you have seen the name. Okay, these two we have seen, yes.
Or Port, that again is South Sudan.
This South Sudan. South Sudan, our baby is very strong.
Sorry?
Our child is becoming big-headed.
But I'm sure you'll find ways of disciplining that child, sir. Kizinga and Mpondwe, I think we have
where the evidence?
Process is on.
This is Kizinga. Mpondwe.
The process is also still ongoing.
No, give us Mpondo. That is Kizinga.
They are saying.
No, we're looking for it. They just give us. That's why we want him. Give Mpondo. You call office. Today you're not going. Call office. We can't bring others and leave others. Mpondo, call office.
Oversight. Oversight.
What it is you have said that the still.
The titling
of land is
so
ongoing. There must be some communication.
There is. I think we just didn't come with it, sir. We'll make it available. Pondwe, again, I don't know.
One in Netherlands.
Honorable Chair, whether you've had an opportunity to visit Pondwe border post as well?
Yeah.
Okay.
It's the only one I've not visited in. Is
this land is in
even Toroko.
Okay.
You know why I talk about the pond? When I was still in the 90s.
Oh, right.
We're the one who built that wall you see. The building. That's a building of URA. In Mpondo. Not the big. I don't know now how it looks like.
Nothing has changed.
Nothing has changed. But
what has changed is maybe the new bridge connecting us to the DRC. That is one. A lot of construction on the other side, the DRC side. Yeah. It's almost it's a big city in itself. On our side, of course, a lot of structures have come up, which is presenting a bit of a problem in terms of, because those are the areas that have been earmarked for one-stop border posts. How we are going to do that one, it still baffles me because there's a lot of congestion there. People have built up their own structures, and it's going to take quite a bit of compensation to get them to move from there. There's a lot of business activity, granted, but I think it has to be properly organized.
Where is Kizinga? I want to. Is it what? Kizinga? Where is this one? Which part?
No, Kizinga, that's on the park.
In Tunga?
Ah, the one in Tunga.
This is a new place.
Not Kazinga Channel. This is
No, I know it, but I know Kazinga Channel, but this is a new one. I'm here. This is the old place. Kizinga. You know it. Okay. So we have not got a bundle.
We'll make it available, sir.
Okay. Since you have given the biggest, we'll allow you that was an oversight, but I don't think it's an oversight. But we shall give a benefit of doubt. Okay. Staff performance.
So the Auditor General made a number of observations in terms of performance agreements, performance plans, filling in of completion of performance appraisal reports, and completion of quarterly performance reviews. And we have generally noted the Auditor General's remarks, but I would like to say that staff have since filled in the performance agreements and they are available. These are many, of course. I didn't expect that you would want to see them. And the performance plans is there's been great improvement in this, as both performance plans and appraisals are an ongoing process and have been done.
Let us go one by one, accounting officer.
Yes.
Human resources here has to guide us. Number one, there were 21 staff under your list, but none of them had not signed. Why?
Come again, sir?
None had signed. And this is a matter which is, you see what, this one is accountability which we are really looking at, not only money, because we pay a salary to perform.
Yes, sir.
If you don't have an agreement with us to know that this is what you have done since the year began and the end, then we have nothing to do. If you went to a district or some offices, they only wait for a release. You know, a release, a quarterly release. Around the time of a quarterly release, they are busy planning for it. As soon as the release is over, they are also over. They leave the offices. They wait for the next one, release. So service delivery all together. And this also helps you as accounting officer to monitor your what? Your staff. So, and you see, if you don't monitor staff, we're doing nothing. So we want to deal with this today. So number one, 4.1, we need a list of those who refuse to sign performance agreements. Their names, and they will be called here for sure. So number one, we start with that 4.1.
Mr. Chairman, I'd like to agree with you to an extent. A good number of people did not sign their performance agreements. On my part, I'd like to say that this was a period, again, a difficult period for the directorate in terms of changes of leadership. And I think our argument should be now, do we have systems in place so that with or without an accounting officer or an immediate supervisor of the organization, that people will still be required to, within a time frame, to fill in their, to make sure that they have their performance agreements. And this is what we're working out now. But the turbulence around that time, 2017, 2018, into 2019, led to a lot of these discrepancies, Mr. Chairman.
No, but they know it. So we want to get at who are those who never did it. Because you see, you cannot run away from the issue. You see, if you are afraid, we are going to deal with it.
Yes, sir.
So one gave us list of those who refused. This one, they refused because they know. In their appointment letter, it's very clear you have a performance agreement. If you have been appointed to the next level, they always tell you either you are the one who makes performance, the appraisal, or agreement. So we will need them. We will deal with it. What you now, you can, as you are sending them here, you will send us what's the current position. But that one at that time, we have to deal with it. And that's why we're coming to the boss of what? Human resource. Okay? How clear? The one of 4.2, it says you had 500. You had how many? Out of this. Now these ones. You had 562, only 78 had filled. 484 had not. Who are these? You understand?
Yes, sir.
Now, also want to, who is the Assistant Commissioner, Human Resource here? What is your role?
Through my accounting officer.
Put your microphone here yourself so that you answer and you can tell us your role.
Thank you, Chair. Through my accounting officer. My role as head human resources is to guide the ministry, which includes DCIC, on human resource matters, which includes even performance management.
So tell us what happened. You had the staff, and they are supposed to have performance plans. The person who implements the performance plans is the accounting officer, but he has delegated that function to you. So what happened? Before we go for them.
Sir, these officers at this level filled the performance plans, but by the time of the audit, they were still in transit. But
From
as
where?
we talk now,
From Guru to Kampala.
No, moving from appraisee to appraiser, and from appraiser to countersigning officer. But as we talk now, they on their files.
No. We want to know how to deal with it. A plan. This one. Do you know what it helps? 1, for promotion. 2, for retooling, training. 3, for demoting. For changing, because maybe somebody doesn't manage this work, he can do the other. That is it. Now you keep quiet on the job. First of all, as much as we are going for them, well, you must answer. Tell us, trust it. What general came when, and how were they trying to travel? You must also show us how they were traveling. The year ended on 30th June. What general came in around October. He was there up to December. For 6 months, those files were still traveling. The plans were still traveling. You must demonstrate where they were traveling from to where.
Not a chair.
No, tell us.
Sir, they were moving between the appraisers and the appraisees, then from the appraisees to the appraisers, and then from there to the countersigning officers.
Had the staff filled them?
Yes, the staff filled.
So why didn't you tell the Auditor General that this staff had filled? This is the one who had not. Because for them, they are saying there were no plans when they came to audit. There was no stage, because by the time they go to people's files. So what happened? So accounting officer, your human resource has to answer this in detail. Otherwise, we're going to recommend the reason why the migration directorate of what? Director of what?
Citizenship and Immigration Control.
Is not performing well because of human resource personnel, and the person letting us down is the one who hates human resource. Unless she shows.
Mr. Chairman, I think that one will be shown. I'd like to make 2 observations, if I may. One, again, it's unfortunate, but I still bring out the issue of lack of effective leadership at that time and the turbulence of the period in terms of not having effective control over the directorate. That really presented a big problem. You talked about the second one. You talked about movement.